Live.
Hi.
Hi, Sarah. Welcome back
Hello.
to our second podcast or video blog or whatever it is.
Convo, video, digital convo. Oh,
And I
look,
cannot.
people are joining. That's so
People are joining. I
cool.
cannot believe how our lights are very similar. Our shirts are very similar,
That's a
and our
coincidence.
background. So, and our blog posts,
Yeah.
latest blog post. So, and it all kind of came together on its own. The
Yeah.
shirt, the lighting, and the blog post. How did
It's
that
very
happen,
weird.
Sarah?
I don't know. It's weird because I was thinking about young people, how I've sort of evolved, the way that me talking to young theater artists has evolved and how they receive it has evolved. And then
Mhm.
your piece about watching young people treat that scene in The Seagull as a sort of therapy, scream therapy session. I don't know
Uh-huh.
what you would
Uh-huh.
call it.
Yeah, no, I would love to talk. Yeah, we both published the blog post about young people approaching theater and how do we get into understanding what contemporary theater is. And a lot of times it seems like we are younger than, than
Yeah.
the than the younger kids. Um, yeah, in the scene with the seagull, where it does say through tears, and she's it's a very difficult monologue at the end of the play, and but the question is, first of all, what is she overcoming? What is she trying? We're always trying to survive. We're always trying to find hope. And unless we do that, there's no struggle. And actually, audience feels compassion or empathy with the person that's struggling, that's overcoming things. Um, but what really strikes me, and this was just one example, but so I love America. Let's
Okay.
just
Good.
preface.
Well, that's
Yes,
one of us. Thank you.
yes, okay. Well, listen, I'm an immigrant. I have to justify myself being here. So,
True. True.
um, but so here's the thing, and what I love is how I think Americans are more supportive than Europeans in general. Like from my experience, it's like people tend to be kind of nicer to each other.
In the US?
Yeah,
Yeah. That is such a heavy question and observation, because sometimes I think that's sort of performative in a way in the US.
possibly, but possibly, and you know what? I would rather have it performative than people being assholes
Cruel
to
to
me.
each other. That's a good point.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
um, and and especially but in theater, in art, there must be a way, there must be a middle ground, a way to talk to people and to orient themselves. What is the purpose of theater? Because around what is the purpose? I think a lot of times somebody's going through something difficult on stage, and they're expressing their emotions, and we want to say, oh my god, are you okay?
Yeah, I
And
know.
thank you. But I guess that's the point of that blog post is that's not the point of art,
I
which
know.
is around kind of self therapy, and we as audience members are not doing justice to art. We are supporting another person, which is great, which is wonderful. We could have a circle of support,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but that's not the purpose is for the audience to feel something, right?
Well, yeah. There is a misconception that acting is how hard you can cry, and in that
Mhm.
scene, and how easily accessible the tears are to the actor. In that scene you're referring to at the end, it's at the fourth act four of The Seagull, right?
Yeah.
um, Chekhov, as I remember, uses the stage direction through tears, the words through tears. I don't know what that is in Russian, but the translation is that in English. And the American actor would view that as like, you know, through tears. But I actually think, and this is not original, I didn't come up with this, but what I think Chekhov means is pushing through tears, pushing through them, and not succumbing to them, and not seeing how hard you can act, and not winning the Oscar for the most acting. You know, that's where the real
The most acting.
yeah, that's where the real catharsis comes from for me, is watching someone like I was thinking recently, I've never seen anyone melt down. It's very rare that I see someone melt down in real life, right?
Right.
For the most part, even if they're on trial for something. Well, sorry, even if they're like a witness on the stand, if they cry once, if the tears break through once or twice, that for me feels realistic. So for Nina and not Trigora,
Constantine.
yeah, you wouldn't be melting down there. So I think that they maybe misunderstood the scene a little bit. That's just, but maybe it feels good. Actors want to act, so it feels good, especially when you're young.
To
I know
them.
I did that. Oh my
Yeah.
God. When I actually felt something and like felt myself lose control on stage, it felt like acting. But really what that is for me is like your headshot. You know, that's your resume talking. That's you not servicing the play. That's you serving kind of yourself in some ways. And I came up with I see my husband's here, Reed. I learned from a lot of different genres in the arts, but one of them was the Wooster Group, who I wrote about in my last piece this week. And their whole ideology is it's not necessarily about the actors, it's about the third thing. It's not about the husband, it's not about the wife, it's about the marriage. And the marriage is the play, right? And so I think I think it might take you few more years to figure that out. That's a very young thing to act as hard as you can, you know?
Yes, it is a young thing, but I also think it's a kind of almost like a disease of American theater.
Oh,
of
completely.
Following stage directions. The thing is that just a quick story, when Stanislavski was rehearsing Cherry Orchard, and Chekhov came to watch it and to watch the rehearsal, and he was completely frustrated and just out of his wits, and Stanislavski couldn't understand why, and Chekhov said, why are there so many pauses?
Oh God, I feel
said,
that.
have you seen your script? It says pause, pause, but those are not literal pauses. They're internal changes. Their stage direction is not telling you where to go, where to stand. It's not a literal kind of explanation.
Right.
That's for the artist to discover. It's a hint.
Well, also there's I don't, it took me a long time to figure this out too, but acting on the line as opposed to before the line. And so what Chekhov may have been watching is the actors acting before the line, which is a very American thing as well. You know what I mean? Like, you got to act in the line. You can't go like, oh, there's so many actors. There's this kind of acting. This is a very young thing too, but I've been calling it I mean acting, where have you ever seen a young person go like before the line, they go, I mean, I'm standing on the street and like, I mean, and it feels like a runway kind of. And that's what Chekhov probably was watching, this sort of ramp up to the acting, which is so, to me, it's cute and it's sad and it's young. And I guess I used to do it. I was an actor. I don't think I mentioned I was an actor for a really long time. So I know all these terrible tricks that young actors used to do. Yeah, I did them. But yeah, I love that story. I love that he was like, it's not taking a breath that you could drive a truck through. It's acting on the line, you know?
Yeah. So the interpretation of the of stage directions that is a lot of times followed to the letter.
Yeah.
There is meaning behind them. There is meaning behind the setting that Chekhov describes for the seagull in the first scene. There is meaning as in it gives, once you dig into it, it gives actors such freedom to go and explore versus closing something off and telling them what to do. It's completely different than what's there. But I loved your. Tell me more about your blog, your post about working for free. How does that work with American equity union?
Well, I wasn't. I mean, at the time, I
No,
wasn't
no, I understand.
official. But I don't know. I don't know if it's, I mean, I'm 45, so I don't know. Times maybe have changed. But when I was younger, I didn't have any other way to get a foot in the door. Like I wasn't, as I mentioned, I wasn't a Nepo baby. I didn't have any money. I just thought the only thing I can do to not become, to not just, to be involved in the theater is just walk into a theater and say, I'm that desperate right now that I want to work. I want to be around this and I want to learn this. And I don't expect you to pay me. Now it feels like, I don't know if it's maybe social media's influence on young people. I feel like such an old geezer talking like this, but it may be a sense of self-importance that I did not have as a young Gen Xer. I did not have a sense of self-importance. And so when I walked in somewhere, I had nothing to offer a theater, nothing. Except that I was curious and eager and desperate to work in the theater. Why would you pay me? Why would you pay someone like that? I need to take from you. I certainly hope you don't abuse me by taking from me. And maybe that's why people are so scared of the concept of it. But when I went to the Wooster Group, I had nothing to offer them, nothing. And and they had everything to offer me. And I really felt that humble when I was there. And I learned a huge amount. I knew, as I mentioned in my piece, I knew nothing about avant-garde theater. And in about a year and a half, I learned everything that I could learn at the time. So I don't know. So when I mention working for free now, I guess it comes off as potential, foundations for abuse. Like, oh, this person's working for free, so there's no guidelines or guardrails to protect us from, protect the higher ups from abusing them because it's not legal technically. I don't know. I don't know what the landscape looks like anymore. And right now, I wouldn't work for free now. So this
That's
is a
right.
very young thing.
Right. But I do think it's so important. I mean, I worked for free at the theater, and there are some companies that I wanted to get into so much. I would do
Oh, me
anything
too.
to learn something.
Yeah.
Not as vanity, but to actually understand something. But and I also think it's such an important piece of learning is getting in and witnessing the atmosphere of
Yeah.
how something that you enjoy and resonate with, how it's created. I think it's so important to have those opportunities. But then the question is, how do we do that in contemporary America, where volunteering, as a assistant of some sort is really frowned upon.
I know. Well, maybe it shouldn't be viewed that way. I know the concept of an internship originally was more of an apprenticeship, you know, but now an
Right.
internship, I guess, I don't know. I should have come more prepared with what an internship is supposed to be in New York City now. I don't think you're allowed to have an unpaid intern anymore. I don't think. And I don't know. I mean, confuses me why, but maybe at one point I had a college pay for the internship. I've written a piece about that too, a different one that I had. So I don't know, but the concept of apprenticing, like I sat in on Liz Lecomte's rehearsals for Hamlet, which is where I met my husband as I went into. And I
Your
watched them
husband
rehearse.
Reed, just
You read, yeah, Farrington. Yeah,
FYI.
he was the video designer on Hamlet, and we've been together for 21, well, together 21 years, married 15. But I watched a rehearsal from, I think they started rehearsing at 10 and they would be done at 5 days a week. I
Uh-huh.
mean, that is a rehearsal schedule that no Americans can afford to do really anymore. And I was able to watch them build something from scratch all day. Why should they pay me to watch that? And what a privilege it is to be able to sit there and watch these legendary performers of the New York City avant-garde doing this. That is once in a lifetime, and I felt honored and privileged to be able to peek into that, and I learned a huge amount. I'm so grateful for that time, but obviously I couldn't work there for free forever. And
Right.
but I viewed it as an apprenticeship. So maybe that's more of a European way of thinking about it. I don't I wish I knew more about what interns are now. So I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what it is in New York. I think it is possible to volunteer and to assist and learn. It's just I think the point that you brought up, and let me know if my assumption is correct, that when you talk to young people, that they're not ready to do something like that.
But I didn't even do anything. I just sat on my ass and watched them, and kept my mouth shut. For fuck's sake. I have been in situations where young people, okay, when I was 23, it would never have crossed my mind to like assert my knowledge in the face of someone who has been doing it for 50 years. Never would have. I maybe would have internally disagreed with something someone did, but I wouldn't have voiced that. But maybe that's because I'm a younger Gen Xer, so I have a sense of self-hatred that was embedded in that generation. So I wouldn't have thought to do that. And maybe young people now are more confident and they can speak up. But oh my God, can you imagine if I had said something in a Wooster Group rehearsal?
Yeah.
They'd all looked at me like, oh, she's chiming in. Who is this?
Right.
I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I do see that like they already know. These young people already know. They already know. Like that's the vibe I get.
Right. On one hand, yes, absolutely. They already know. On another hand, so I taught for 6 years at Boston Conservatory, at Berkeley, acting and directing. And, on one hand, they already know. On the other hand, it's like they want to please and they want to do everything correctly. And what's lacking in it for me is the revolt, what am I going to bring into this, rather than practical thinking of, okay, I need to please therefore so that I get a job, and I need to, so like the school in Russia that I went to, I mean, it was just full of revolutions, all the time, in the heart of where the thing was created, like, no, we gotta recreate, we gotta figure something else out, we gotta one of the best things I've ever seen was done in a hallway. It's kind of like a narrow hallway with like doors, rehearsal doors. And basically, there was only like, I don't know, 20 people that could see. So you'd sit in the hallway, and then just things happened, coming in through the hallway. It was a beautiful, poetic experience. One of the best things I've ever seen. And it was created because students wanted to revolt against the normal. I mean, it was one of the best things I've ever seen. And it was just constant. What I feel like here, it's more, it's very reserved, and we have to do what's asked of us, and we have to do it well and be liked.
Yeah. Again, I think that's social media that's twisted people's minds and egos like that. Like I guest artists with young playwrights all the time, and it's weird. They both know, and they're also not revolting, not revolting, but rebelling, like you're describing. I don't know. I think there's a safety because of social media, because everything's being like, nothing was filmed when I was their age. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're just being safe for fear of misstepping and looking like an asshole and looking cringe. Like, I have kids. They are all afraid of looking cringe. You know what I mean by that?
No, totally. I do. I also have kids, and I know what that means. But I guess, kids, teenagers, yes. But once they get to a theater school and try to make it their profession, they have to bring something on the inside. Like, it has to be something that is nagging you, that you want to do, that you want to create. That,
totally. The fire. They have to have the fire.
That's right.
And I did, but I knew that. I'm just thinking of the Wooster Group thing. I knew that. Oh my God! I mean, this is the theater company that Spalding Gray started, and Willem Dafoe, and these like titans from the 70s when they were kids.
Yeah.
And I knew that they had more to offer, and I wanted to steal from them. To be honest.
Of course. And I heard that Tadeusz Kantor came to La Mama.
Say that who?
Tadeusz Kantor.
Who's that?
He's a Polish director, that one of his most famous pieces was called Dead Class.
Okay.
And I think it was in the 70s as well. He came to La Mama, and I know that speaking to Jessica Hecht and some of the people from NYU of the time, they were super kind of influenced by that. It's very avant-garde. It's
Yeah.
extremely avant-garde, but avant-garde in a sense that says something new, not for the sake of being,
Weird for the sake of
different.
weird. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, weird for the sake of weird, and kind of that emancipation of theater from itself. I guess there were waves of it starting here, but then it just kind of
Yes.
never
Yeah.
went anywhere.
You're right. You're right. That's very true. And I don't know. I haven't seen anything scary in I mean, not in a very long time, you know? I mean, here and there. But I haven't seen anything that like shakes the structure of what a play is itself in a very long time. And that's why I was so attracted to working there, you know?
Mm.
So,
What would you say now to a young person looking? So they just graduated, they have this fire, they have this passion. What would you say?
well,
What should they
now,
do?
the biggest thing what I said in my piece was the biggest thing I start with is not to take no for an answer. And I know that
Mm,
sounds a little reductive, but someone told me that a long, long time ago. Especially now, especially in New York, no is the rule. No is the general rule. You will come up against it from everyone. So if you decide I'm going to be a theater maker, no matter what the fuck you say, nothing can stop you. If you have the money, you can make a show. If you have the team, you can make a show. Nothing can stop you. And also no trend can stop you. And in the general landscape of the theater style in New York, you can completely blow it up if you have the money and you have the iron will. Those are the two things that I think you need. So I always start with that. I don't know. I don't know how that sticks on people, because if you don't have that, what you wind up doing is waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for somebody to swoop in and do it for you. And for me, that never happened, ever. It's starting to happen a little bit more and more as I'm getting older now, but I think that's because I put my 10,000 hours in and like, you know, I can be relatively trustworthy. But at the beginning, no one's going to swoop in and save you. You have to do it yourself. So that's my lecture to the youngs when I first start talking to them. It's a very punk ideology. And, go watch somebody else do it. Don't be an asshole. Steal what they do. Don't make it look like you're stealing, and you can win. Just do not stop. The only way you can fail is if you quit. Seriously. And people want you to quit.
right.
What about you?
Right.
What do you tell the youngs?
Something very similar. I say, don't stop. Keep creating wherever you can. If it's at your house, if it's at somebody's house, you have to keep creating. I mean, ultimately that's how I started when I came to Boston after graduating from school in Moscow. I emailed everyone in Boston, all the artistic directors. I have this great resume. I graduated from this incredible school. We're gonna, shift American theater together. No one responded. Like,
Yeah, but you
completely.
asked. That's the thing. The other thing that people forget to do, especially women of my generation, they don't ask. Just ask.
Yeah.
You're like, I have a show. Do you want it? And the worst someone can do is ghost you. Big deal. Move on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And
No,
you just
exactly.
sound like you asked,
I did ask, but not only that. I started teaching non-professionals 17 years ago, almost 17 years ago, which were my friends, my community members. They were refugees from the former Soviet Union. I started teaching them acting. At first, I was like, while emailing artistic directors, I was like, how am I going to, after graduating from this incredible school, how am I going to be teaching computer programmers acting?
Yeah.
And then finally they convinced me that I should, because they were going to pay me, and ultimately I asked them for a 9-month commitment, and I said, well, you have to stick with me for nine months, and this was 17 years ago. We're still together.
Get out of here.
Yeah. And
wow.
And the thing is that we did shows in Russian for the first 5 years of our existence. And then right before the pandemic, we did a show in Russian and then in English, and it kind of swept all the awards in Boston. And that's how I was discovered. And then I was invited to teach at Boston Conservatory as associate professor for 6 years. And then during the pandemic, I did some other things, but we kept, like, during the pandemic, a lot of theater shuttered. What we did is we created a show, an interactive show. We hacked together some pieces of software, and we got a New York Times critics pick. Like, when would ever a theater outside of Boston in a town called Needham get a New York Times critics pick?
I know.
And that's huh?
I know. I had friends from Needham. I remember.
Oh, you know Needham.
Yeah.
But anyway, but the answer to your question is just like, keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going.
And also don't like the scrappiness has to be embraced instead of pushed away. Like, because you don't have
100%.
anything doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Like, all my favorite albums are scrappy sounding and sound like they were recorded on shitty equipment. You know, like, the more you lean into the scrappiness and that you're doing this because you have to, oh my God, it's so much better. And then what the alternative is, you need to wait for what, $100,000 and production value and people that like, and I get it. This is all, I'm sort of umbrellaing all of this into, a lot of this is easier when you're younger, you know, because now that I'm a little, although I don't know, I still live by this ideology. I just do it because I have to do it. I really do it because what's the alternative? Being a civilian, as I say. I can't possibly do that. So I don't know. But I do, when I do have calls with young theater makers just starting out, there is a know-it-all tone. I don't mean this across the board, but lately I have noticed there is a know-it-all tone. Oh, no, I know that. Yeah, I know that. Yeah. Oh, no, I already have that. Do you? You do? Okay. I mean, it took some of the stuff they say they already have. It took me years to figure out, you know, so, but maybe I'm just slow. I don't know. Maybe it's true that this later generation is a bit more, I don't know, they're further along. They've been plunged into society faster because of how horrible everything is. So maybe they are more sophisticated than me, and they do know it all. But for me, I had to walk in with a total humility. You know, I just was like, I'm an idiot. I know nothing. Just I need to steal and absorb as much as I possibly can. So that's the big difference between then and now, I think. So
Yeah, I think that's so crucial, so vital.
oh, my husband's on here, and he just quoted my favorite quote from Richard Foreman, who's one of our heroes, which is, if you're still doing it, you've made it. Not a very American philosophy, because in America, you haven't really made it unless you're, according to Timmy whatever the fuck is Chalamet, you haven't made it unless you're a blockbuster, unless you're printing money, you know? But as far as Foreman is concerned, if you're still doing it, then you have made it. You haven't quit, you know? And that's huge.
That's right. And as you said, you know, things start to happen as you keep doing things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you never know the invisible steps leading up to. I mean, I mentioned this in my piece, but I met my husband through that free job. I didn't go there looking to land a husband. I just want to put that out there.
Sarah.
But it did happen organically.
Was that really your?
Yeah, I worked for free at a downtown theater company to find husband material, but I did happen.
It's also not a great strategy.
No, not at all. You're not going to find a rich husband there, that's for sure.
Right.
But hi, Reed, he hears me doing this. The invisible steps toward whatever it is, you can never know what those are. You know, you're in the middle of something. You don't know what it is. You don't know what it's going to lead to. You just keep using your instinct and trying to make good choices. So, but then, you know, then there's always, like, you know, the famous stories of, famously, the flea used free labor for a generation, and that ended badly. So, you know, it doesn't always go well, and it isn't always used. The institution can be using you, and you have to just be savvy enough to know when that's happening.
Yeah. But ultimately, when I volunteered or worked for free, or I maybe when you did, like, I learned so much that I wouldn't be able to pay for it. You know?
You mean the education that you got would have been
Yeah.
priceless? Like, you couldn't have paid for it? Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Because what do you learn in school? You don't learn how to self-produce a show in school. I never, I had to actually, I was like, oh, there's no producer that's going to swoop in and produce my show. So I have to self-produce. I have to learn how to do that. If it weren't for self-producing, I'd have no career whatsoever. You have to do it yourself. That is fading away. I really feel that's fading away. People want to wait until, a benefactor comes in and does it for you. So I don't know. I didn't learn that in school. In school, I learned scene study. I learned audition technique. I learned all important, but I didn't learn, say, how to pay someone. I didn't learn how to market myself. I didn't learn, I didn't learn a lot of stuff that I just learned for free somewhere else while doing it.
That's right.
Sucks. It can be humiliating at times, but I'm an introvert. I know it doesn't seem like it, but I am a textbook introvert. I do not like going out and talking to people. I don't like it. But I do it anyway, because if I don't do it, there's no career. You just have to push yourself beyond that spot.
That's right. Anything else that we can advise Reed and Kira?
Oh, are they asking? Okay.
No, they're not asking. I'm just seeing the two names.
Reed says
thanks,
work
Kira,
comes from work. That's very true. Work comes from work.
Anything else to young people looking to break in?
I mean, that's my philosophy. No one's gonna fucking help you. No one cares.
Yeah.
Unless your father is Ethan Hawke or something, no one gives a fuck about you. So you have to care. You have to be your own agent. You have to be your own marketing team. You have to be all of that. You have to care more than anybody else.
Yeah. And if you have something that you truly want to say or do in this world, it all of that doesn't matter. Like, you don't have enough money. Oh, by the way, you said something about scrappiness. My worst production was the biggest budget production. It's completely true. It's completely true that scrappiness helps imagination.
I completely
especially
agree.
When you're young.
Well, the thing I learned, do the best you can with what you have. Do the best you can.
Yeah.
If you just have a single room, a cell, do the best you can with what you have, and you will come up with creative, imaginative, innovative ways to make something no one's ever seen before. But if someone hands you $1 million, I mean, that's sort of limiting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's...
Imagine.
Oh, imagine that. Okay, well, we've been on for a little more than half an hour. I just wanted to say thank you again, Sara, for coming on and us doing it together. And we have to talk before dress code before we.
I know, this is so strange.
We completely match. This is really weird.
It's really weird.
Okay, but I think we match not only in dress code, but in some of the views that we have as well. Totally. And it's great to discover them here. Totally. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yes, thank you for everyone tuning into. That's so kind.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.